So you guys are in the midst of talking about making records and children. Did I catch that right?
They're pretty much the same thing. One of them just doesn't poop. It's the difference.
Well,
yeah, but some of them shit the bed.
Oh, they can't though, right? When they do poop, it's real bad. It's bad for everybody.
When they both poop.
Yeah.
All right.
It's only diapers for one.
I'm gonna mute guys and let you do your thing, and
Alrighty.
I'll be here if you need me. Okay.
We out here.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jen. It's good to see you.
Jen.
So, Ayron, real quick, man, I noticed something on your IG, dude, and you took that iconic picture at Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, dude. There was, we were at Royal Albert Hall, man, and yeah, that was crazy.
Dude, tell me about that experience as an artist playing that, because that is like either that or Carnegie are like two of the places as an artist you hope to play at one point in your career.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to play both at one point.
What?
Yeah, I got to play Carnegie years ago. I have a poster from it. It was a benefit show, and it was with that was actually the first time I met Corey from Living Color and all those Living Color dudes, and Patti Smith was there, and it was crazy. So that was the first thing I did. Was Carnegie Hall was back in 17 or 18. But Royal Albert Hall, shout out to Daughtry first of all for bringing us on tour, and I mean that was his show, but for us to be able to just stand on that stage in that place was quite the experience, and it's just different there too. It hits. I mean, every time you play a place like that, one of those prestigious venues, it just hits differently because the crowd isn't a rock crowd. It's a very prestigious place, and I think you just feel that when you walk in. So this isn't going to be like a mosh pity, let's go crazy kind of crowd. It's going to be we're here to really just enjoy your artwork, and that's kind of what the vibe was. That's the way it felt, and but it made a big impact amongst the people in London and the UK, man. So, but I was just really proud to be on that tour with Daughtry. I mean, all the rooms were pretty much full and just like that, man. It's just capacity crowds everywhere we went, and then just to end it on Royal Albert Hall was just an honor. And the thing about it though is people don't understand this. You don't really process all of these things until the job is done. And it's been done, right? So I went from Royal Albert Hall to Paris to do a bunch of promo. It wasn't until a week later I got home and I was like, oh my God. I did it, man. I did it,
Yeah.
I was like, that was 2 weeks ago, man. I know, I'm sorry. It just hit me. But yeah, man, it was the honor of my life, man. Honor of my life.
It's still cool that you got to feel that, right?
Yeah,
even if it came, even if it was after the fact, a little, what do they call, what's the term? When it's like a delay trail, but there's something very specific that I'm thinking of.
It's
when the drugs wear off and it hits you, you're like, oh shit. Where was I? Whoa, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. I forget the term I was going to use, but the idea of it is most people don't get to stop. I don't know if we should even consider this part of starting the podcast, but to stop and recognize the moment when it's happening,
it's impossible. I don't know if people just don't know that, man. It's they don't I opened for the Rolling Stones in front of 60,000 people, and there's
you're in Detroit.
Yeah, that was in front of I did that too, but I opened for the Rolling Stones in Paris this last summer in front of about 60,000 people in Paris. And there's no way to process that many people, man. You have to go back to look at pictures and things like that to really get the full scope of what you just accomplished. And then you don't really think about it when you're walking down the street that 60,000 people just saw you play in this big city, and now you're walking down the street and people are looking at you crazy, dude, weren't you the guy that was doing the thing over there? You're like, oh yeah, can I get a beer? You guys want a shot? Let's get a shot. Let's hang out, But it's really, it's a lot, man, and hopefully when you're doing everything right, it stays that way, that you just keep going from crowd to crowd, day to day. And, I know the Shinedown guys probably feel that way too. They just get up there and you got your crew that rolls with you. It's like when you're on a plane, the air inside the plane is going the same speed you're going. So you're really going 0 miles an hour, but in truth, in reality, you're flying at 550 miles an hour in the sky. It doesn't feel that way until you land, and then you find yourself in some new place.
Dude, that was a fucking song that you just wrote. Literally the analogy and the way that you just described it. Yeah. Dude, that's a.
I think
it's the little nuances that change from gig to gig, right? It's the same gig, same set list, same motion, same video, same fire blast, whatever. But it's just the nuance. Obviously, feed off the audience into it, and those little hiccups, does my voice sound good tonight? Am I cracking a little bit?
And you go through those moments, especially with we did over 200 shows, I think, last year. I think it was the last 2 years, something like that, and it was those are things I never really thought about before. I mean, I've been on plenty of indie tours and things, but never had to think about my voice and like what my voice is gonna be like tonight, or like if I was even gonna have a voice tonight, or having to call a doctor and be like, yo, I can't talk. And, oh, no problem. We got pills for that. We got steroids. Here, take this in your butt. I'm back. You know, so you just start thinking about that stuff, dude. Like the longevity, like you really gotta take care of yourself and your voice and all those things, man. Like those are the things that you don't, because every day is a party, dude. It really is. I mean, you know, and I know the Shinedown guys have certainly felt that at times, and you know, I've felt that at times. In that first, I think that first 2 years when I went from sitting on my couch from the pandemic to getting signed, and then all of a sudden being at the top, you know, top 5 on the rock charts, it's like, and you're still sitting at this point. You don't realize how much your life is changing, and then it all hits you at one time, and you're everybody's best friend, and you become the life of the party, and all these things, and all of a sudden you have like this lifestyle where you can't really go out anymore without, like, I can't even tell you, I don't even really go out by myself much anymore, because you know, I started realizing every time I went out, even if I'm just having a casual conversation, if it's not me and some people, like I like to sit at the bar, right? So if it's not me and my friends sitting in a corner somewhere where we're not really being bothered, even then, at times, you know, cats will come up and say something. But if I'm at the bar and someone's like, oh, I'm a teacher, what do you do? I'm like, I'm an international recording artist. I play rock and roll, my original music. And they go, oh, cool. And they look you up, and all of a sudden now everybody's like, here, have some alcohol. You're like, oh, maybe one, and one turns into 5, and all of a sudden everybody's like best friend. Like, let's go to the bathroom. What are we doing there?
Well, so let me ask you, what is your alias job you use when you see where the conversation is kind of going to? What's your other occupation that you tell them when they ask you what you do?
I try to say preschool teacher, but the tattoos were they gave away. They're like, "Oh, cool! Your neck tattoo is a preschool teacher. It sounds perfect." You know, no, I just, you know, I try to be honest and truthful. I might just say I'm a musician, and a lot of people don't really ask much after that. Oh, you're a musician, like, you know. But like, I think that at a certain point, and other cats will say this too, when you start becoming successful, there's energy that you have about you that people just feel and pick up on. And it's happened to me a few times, just walking in the rooms with cats, just like, they just know that you are doing something, because whatever it is, your energy just changes, man, over time. You know, you tour enough, you get seen enough, you do enough interviews and all the things, man, and that stuff all starts to culminate into your personality, and then you start to wear that. You know what I'm saying? When I walk into a venue or wherever, you know, you're wearing that wherever you go, and it used to be a thing where you could turn on and off. But when it's more on than off, then who are you? You know what I'm saying? So you just kind of handle it as it comes, man, and make sure you just like always are have a protocol. You know, that's why I go out with friends and have people around to make sure that, like, if something gets hairy, I'm just out. You know, they get me out of there. They're out. You know.
I think one thing that could help you, and just hear me out here, is that you wear a cap that says Tucson. Throw them off the scent.
Say Tucson. It says Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yeah, Biloxi. No, then they're gonna go, what, do you play blues? Are you a blues guy?
Yeah, right.
I'm
a blues guy. Right? That's right.
Yeah, no, Tucson's nice and safe, man. It's good. It's a good middle class hat.
I learned from a man named Smokestack Train Rail. That's right. Play some guitar right there.
All right. So you got a new record coming out. Obviously, Child of the State proved wonders for you. You just mentioned about being top 5 rock charts, and it really did help kind of launch you into this sphere. This new record coming out, what's your expectation of it? What are you hoping that people gravitate and get from it?
I think it just goes hard, you know. I think what's interesting. It's so funny because you're on tour with Shinedown right now, and I literally, like, that record was really, I think, highly influenced by Shinedown one way or another. I wasn't like trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna do that Shinedown thing here, you know. But you know, we work with some of the same producers, and I had just come off almost a year and a half of touring with these dudes, you know, kind of on and off. And so a lot of that stuff kind of soaked into and it was funny. We talked about this last time we spoke. We talked about this. You were like, "Yo, man, you think you're gonna be influenced songwriting wise?" I was like, "I don't know. We'll see. I'm already dope." You know. And then here we are. You know, a year later, 2 years later, whatever. And I'm like, "Yeah, man, it definitely seeped in." You know, you can hear it in some of these songs, like the title, and you can hear it and there's like a big Seattle rock influence there. So. And more than anything, I think it sounds like my environment now. You know, it went from kind of sounding like I played clubs and, you know, some bigger size club, 405 capacity, you know, clubs, to sounding like stadium rock, like arena rock, and like that's really the trajectory I've been on. I think it's a reflection of where I've been and what I've been doing the last couple of years. And then the songwriting, more than anything, I think is taken a whole different level. You know, these stories that are being told now, with the exception of a couple that are just like songs, you know, they just come out and they just give you what it is. But this album, it takes on a whole different level of storytelling, I think, than my previous album. So, you know, and I love it. I think it's a really great record. I know we are already getting a lot of commercial interest in it, like cats talking to us about wanting to put in the commercials and things like that. So usually when you're on that track, it's a really good sign that you struck a nerve, and hopefully that'll be the case with this record.
The single you mentioned, Arena Rock, has that because it has this massive crescendo during the middle of the song, right? It kind of changes gears.
Oh yeah.
Which is like reminiscent of someone like maybe Zeppelin or someone of that nature.
Absolutely.
I know that's rare for an air to put someone in, but it's just kind of like that, kind of like some more gentle intro, your storytelling, and then it goes bam.
Hits you, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that also speaks wonders to Scott Stevens and Marty Fredrickson, who are really great songwriters. And one of the keys to really being a great songwriter is knowing the artist you're working with, And so when you break down my songwriting style, that's typically, that's how I came to be. I was a songwriter before anything, singer-songwriter on the acoustic guitar, like with dreams of being this big, heavy rock dude, And so the singer-songwriter thing kind of carried into, my career as I kept going. And now when some of these songs, and you hear them start out, they start out with this like really like nice story, and all of a sudden it just hacks you in the ass, and that's what I love about working with those cats. They really capture the vibe,
Well, you know what? You got to get the soft stuff because you got to get the ladies involved, right? And then the dudes love the heavy part, right?
That's the key. Here's the thing, man. This is what I learned way early on, dude. And this is why I think Childish State actually hit the way it did too, was because you got to remember something, man. Girls drive the industry. The ladies drive the music industry.
Sure.
Songs, dudes love songs about girls. Girls love songs about girls, and that drives it. And who said it best? It was Giannis. Me and Giannis were talking. We were backstage at Incarceration.
The comedian?
No, Giannis, the lead singer from Avatar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we were talking.
Avatar has love songs?
Yeah, no, but their music. He's like, it's got to fuck. The music has to fuck, And it doesn't fuck. What are we doing, And so it was we were talking about those. It just has to. The music has to slap. It has to hit a certain way. It has to hit a vibe and a feel, And it meant to get the girls to shake their hips. If we're not doing that, then we're not doing anybody any justice out there in the music world, man.
What he didn't tell you is their music fucks, but it doesn't call you back the next day.
He did tell me that, though. That's so messed up.
He did?
We're one-timers. We leave you.
Yeah. I got something to mention, and I know that it's probably, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want it, but with the recent single that came out and the artwork that's attached to it, is that I'm assuming that's going to be part of what is the album artwork. And what I love about it, if it's not, is it going to be part of the album artwork?
It's definitely part of the theme of the album, right? So the album's called Chronicles of the Kid, and when I look around my house, I have a ton of them. Hold on, I'll show you. I got a ton of these things. I've got a ton of these.
Same.
And okay. I'm just like, I just randomly grab them, write ideas. It could be anything. I like I have a dream today, and I'll write it down. I'm like, and one day white kids and black. That's not my dream. I'll come back to that. But yeah, I have a ton of these written around. And so, but I realized that like my whole life, I've written all these stories and these songs in the compilation of notebooks, and they kind of tell my story over time. And that's why it's called Chronicles of the Kid. And this album in particular actually tells the story of me getting signed leading up to now, And so that's why I figured it was a great second chapter, because that first record really was, my whole life of music leading up to when I got signed. There was some new stuff there, but it really was like, almost like a snapshot of what was and not what was coming or what was to be, And so Chronicles of the Kid is about the stories that I'm telling right now. I mean, and I've lived it, like no one can tell you what it's like to be famous or how you're going to deal with it. And I've certainly fucked up a bit just being myself, trying to figure out how to navigate the waters. No one's going to tell you how to deal with the fame or like the attention, or how you're going to deal with the attention, And so a lot of these stories are just like me just being inside my head about where I've been and what I've been doing. And some of them are really tragically beautiful, and some of them are beautifully tragic,
Yeah. Those composition books, right? So we were talking about the songwriting, It's something to lean into, the idea of like, as you're growing, you start talking about the songwriting and expanding, and those at the heart of it is the composition. It's the song,
Absolutely,
right?
Man.
You hone that. That's dope. I just wanted to make a mention of it because I saw it and I was like, I wonder if that's going to be part of the album artwork, and how does it tie in? Because it's very specific.
Absolutely, man.
That marbled notebook you have, I think they sell those in bundles at Sweetwater and at Guitar Center for musicians.
That's so cool. I didn't know that, because I just got mine from
No, I'm kidding. But every musician or creative has that same kind of notebook, right?
I asked on going to no Guitar Center. I hate going to Guitar Center. Hey man, what do you need? Oh, don't worry about me, man. I just play guitar. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. Well, gee, it's this right here, man. I'm right. You don't want that one. You want this one. It's 10 times more expensive. I get a little commission off that. Don't worry about it. Look.
Sure. Yeah.
or like we used to on the road whenever one of our guitar players would be just like fucking hacking it, you know.
Yeah.
At the end of the show, it's like, "What's up, Guitar Center?" Saw
Yeah,
you all
right.
in the corner, stairway, and you just fucking.
God, I hate it, man.
Yeah,
So
it's funny.
you mentioned fame
Yeah.
coming now, it's starting, you're getting recognized and things
Yeah.
like that. Are there any things about it you weren't aware of or you weren't prepared for? And what were you kind of prepared for? Were you prepared for the fact that you'd probably have to leave a public square or place you were at when you started to get a little hairy for you?
You know that I'd been somewhat famous in Seattle for a while, right? In fact, probably more so when I was coming up than even now, you know, whereas like, cause Seattle is such a isolated region of the country, and as a music market, it's not really seen, even though it produces really great music, it's not much of a music place. If that makes any sense, right? Like, I know that there are a ton of indie bands here that have the potential to get better and make it if they get in front of the right people and do all that stuff. But Seattle itself is not a place where agents and managers and like the business is coming to thrive. You know, like it's a place where you get really good at music and then you go find those people elsewhere. And so, but I really experienced that early on, I'd say around 2013 to about 17, when things were really, really on top for me, here in Seattle. And so I somewhat expected, but I didn't, not to this scale. This is when it really started getting weird for me, I think, was probably the end of last year. After Mercy had been out for a while, you know, because I went number 4, and then right after that I went number 1, and then went number 2. So I stayed on the charts pretty much that whole year and a half, and at the top of the charts as some random no-name kid from who God knows where, you know. And so when I started getting recognized in airports and like hotels and things like that, that's when things started getting a little bit, that's when it hit me, and I knew that like it's a different thing, you know. So I wasn't really prepared for a lot of it. I'd say a majority of it. Like I experienced it on a smaller scale, you know, like and where people want to be your best friend, the girls and the drugs and like the rock and roll stuff, and then but nothing like this, man. Not where you have to actually take tally as to what's going on around you and be more aware of that, because you know a lot of these cats, and you've heard plenty of these stories before, you can get so swept up into that stuff, and then health wise it'll just deteriorate you and quickly, because every day becomes this sort of like idea, like if you live in this rock star ego every day, you're going to get stuck in this party mode, and that party mode will take you out like that. You know, there's no sleep. Every single day you're just like, you're burning the candle at both ends, and your body just starts to deteriorate right in front of your eyes, inside out, and you have no idea, man. So I'd say a majority of stuff I'm dealing with right now is really, it was really brand new for me. Now that I've been in it now for about a year and a half, I'm coming down off, I plateaued a little bit, and I'm coming down off of that ledge a little bit, and I'm kind of starting to even out, you know. But it was definitely a spike, going from as you know the number 1 rock artist on the charts to all of a sudden touring behind that and having no idea what to expect, you know.
Let me ask you this then. Is it scary is a kind of a harsh word, but is it more off-putting to be put in that position where you're getting kind of weirded out by people, by fans at festivals, things like that, or at an industry gathering like NAMM or something, where you got these execs and people in the business who think that because they're in the industry that they're going to creep on you harder?
It's just a different vibe, I think. You know, I think a lot of industry folks, they're just kind of trying to check you out, and like they're probably more used to being around more famous people. I'd say the stuff, if you just walk around the crowd in a festival, it's a lot weirder. That's a lot weirder, man. Like, because listen, man, the weirdest part about it isn't even the people. It's because you think you're a normal person, right? That's the big issue. It's not that you that you think you're anything. It's that they think you're something, and you're just like walking around like trying to do normal people stuff, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're that dude."
You
listen,
eat?
Man. Right. Whoa, man. You're just like, this is the funniest one, dude. You're just like us, man. You're a normal person. I'm like, yeah, bro. I didn't just fall from space. Like, and just like sporadically, just like come up. All of a sudden, here I am. I'm a god in music. Bow
But
before
the
me.
funny thing is like, well, you know what? I'm not like you, because normal people aren't shit faced at 10:30 in the morning in there, dude.
That's true too. That's true
It's
too.
like-
No part, man. That's so true, man. And like, people were just like, "Oh man, you want to do 3 shots of whiskey with me?" I was like, "I have to sing in 10 minutes." No, I can't.
No.
Yeah.
You know, and
Vitamin C, yes. Whiskey, no.
Right, and that's the thing about it too, man. Is that's the other part I think that was hard for me too, along with the fame, was like you now turning from like just being this dude that like plays clubs and like tours on my own to becoming what's considered an elite level musician and having to show up that way over and over again, the consistency is much higher demand, and it's harder to maintain. You know, as you get a little older, it's hard to maintain all that too, man. So that's another thing I had to get used to too, is learning how to take care of myself in a much different and better way. You know, and I'm still learning how to do that, because I do like. I mean, you saw me in the boat. I'm very social, man. I'm like, oh, hey, you're a friend. I like you. Hey, let's drink a drink. Want to hang out for a while? And then on the boat, you know, things don't close at 6 a.m. You're like, wow, that was a fun hang, and then you have to be up in 10 minutes because you got to go.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, good thing it happens at sea, because what happens out there doesn't really exist.
God, I hope not. I hope it's gone forever. I hope no one talks about it ever again.
Well, you know, man, every great guitarist that we probably think about always has their kind of lost weekend years, right? Yeah. It's okay to have those, you know, but you come back stronger, better, the longevity. Never hurt Clapton. Guy's been doing it for 50 plus years.
Yeah, it's true, man.
And he was gone for a few weekends.
But you know what, man, and you got to live that a little bit too. That's there's a balance to it. That's kind of like more the key to anything, I think. And it was Zach. Zach said this too one time. I was texting Zach, man, Zach from Shinedown, and I said, "Yo, man, I love you. Thank you for the tour." Because me and Zach got to know each other pretty well, man, and I got to know all the guys really, but Zach really bonded, and he says to me, "Hey, man, take it easy out there. Everything in moderation, including moderation." And I was like, "Whoa, everything
including moderation."
Including moderation.
Don't bore yourself to death.
Right. I took that to mean that, like, you know, dude, like, you built up this whole life to enjoy it and to enjoy these little moments that you have, and you gotta take time to enjoy those without getting swept into it, because it's really easy, man. I mean, like, I took some dudes with me on tour down in when I did that UK tour, and a couple of dudes. One of them is my guitar tech, who ended up filling in on guitar for me, and I needed to fill in bassist too, who flew out with me, and that was their first time ever experiencing anything like that. And because me and my drummer had been going through this now for 2 years, we're not even thinking about it. We're just like, let's just go do our thing. Good. And then at the end, he's like, "Dude, that is an addicting feeling." And I was like, "What's an addicting feeling? You know, what are you talking about?" He was like, "Yeah, man, like." People just like knowing your face and like wanting to hang out with you, and you just being cool with everybody. Like, that's really addicting. Get up there, you play your music, and at the end, everybody wants to be your friend. Girls want to talk to you, guys want to talk to you, buy you drinks, and you just like, you feel so cool. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess so, man. Well, off to bed for me, you know." You know,
it's exhausting, man.
Yes.
I mean, you figure you're probably, and maybe Chad, you too. It's like you give yourself for 2 hours to people, right? Like, you're giving everything, playing, singing, emoting, your banter. And then they want to keep pulling from you, man.
Yeah,
that's got to be the thing that just drives you. You appreciate it, but, you know, hey, radio winners, that's a whole different thing, right? 10 minutes. Hi, thank you very much for listening. Right. But like these things that drag on till 2 or 3 in the morning, you're like, fuck this.
Yeah, dude. And that's the thing, man. And like, that's a hard, like I said, I'm so social, dude. I've seen the sun come up more times in the last 2 years than I can even remember, you know what I'm saying? Like it just, and because you're traveling so much, you know, you'll be you know, I'll go from, like, this last year I had a show, I had to come off tour. I did the UK and I did France, and I did that for a month. I came home for a day and then flew to Japan. I played a show in Japan over the weekend, and then flew back home just in time enough to have Halloween with my kids, and then the next day fly out to London. And it was absolutely insane. It was something that happened. It wasn't, we were flying to Europe, I'm sorry, but we did a tour, came home, I flew out to Japan, played a show, came home, and then flew out to Europe for a month, and then I didn't get home until the end of November, and I was just like cooked, you know, completely cooked. And then in the meantime, you're like in a different time zone, so everybody's sleeping and you're awake, and then everybody's awake and you're exhausted and you're dehydrated and all the stuff, man. Touring is definitely a task on the body, and I don't know if people recognize that, you know.
I mean, that's some serious woodshedding when you're starting to skip continents, man. You're getting you're burning midnight oil.
It's been insane, dude. And I think anybody can tell you. I mean, anybody who's especially, you know, on Indigo, like, anybody can tell you, like, that's just how it goes, man. You know, they once you're in demand, you're in demand, and when you're hot, you're hot. And as tiring as it is, man, you better be thankful for it, because that moment can come and go. And I experienced a little bit of that towards the end of my record, you know, with being at so high, and then all of a sudden, you know, we're coming down off the record, and like, we're throwing some more singles out there. Maybe they're not the hardest hitting singles, but they resonate. And you know, and you're kind of like, you're not feeling that same high, but you're coming off the record, so you have to get ready for the next thing, you know. So it's a journey like that, man. But when you're hot, you're hot. You better be thankful for it, because you don't know if you're ever going to see it again, man.
Then how do you kind of balance and keep that measure of hey, look, I'm coming down a little bit here. I'm not gonna freak out because I'm not what I was 3 weeks ago even.
Yeah.
How do you keep that balance of saying it's okay, I'm going to drop some singles, I'm going to stay in the public eye, and then I'm going to kind of ascend again when the festivals come around, new album comes around,
Yeah.
new meetings with iHeartMedia come around, all those things happening, man. So it's like, how do you deal with the ebb and flow?
You just remind yourself that you're not there by a fluke. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you're not a one hit wonder. You've already proven that you can make great songs and great music that hits with people, and that there's people out there that really love what you do. You know, and that if you continue to speak to their hearts without compromising yourself, you're always going to resonate with those people, and they're always going to put you on and open up and expand too. Keep being creative, making sure you keep reaching out to their, part of what I did in this record cycle, or I've been doing before this record came out, was I released Filthy, which was, I thought, resonated really hard with the Deep South and the Midwest, and a lot of like the the rowdier bunch of people that are strip club bunch, the dive bar kind of rowdy folks that really hit with them. And then I dropped Other Side on streaming, and I think Other Side was a big reason. I mean, even though we haven't really pushed that in terms of really hard in the media and all that stuff, I think that song is gonna be so important to this record, because it speaks to a whole new generation of people that listen to music. The delivery, the tones, everything. So I kept in mind that I have a goal in my head to reach the world, and I want to touch everybody on every continent with this music. In order to do that, though, I have to keep opening myself up to being more creative and more open to different styles of things, and still maintaining myself too. So it's actually pretty fun, man. It's pretty fun. I don't mind kind of just cruising along, especially right now, because I started writing this record right before I dropped my last record. It's because I didn't want to. I knew I was gonna be burnt out, and it's not because I knew it, because like everything was a buildup. When everything closed down, touring was shut down, everything was shut down. Everything was building up to that point, and then when it opened, I'll never forget how much our rooting for our first tour with my band was absolutely god awful. It was terrible. We zigzagged. I'll never forget this one too. We had a show in Minneapolis. Well, woke up the next morning to drive over to, it was like Detroit area. We played at Detroit for an hour and drove back to Minneapolis so that we can drove an hour to the airport so that we could fly into Seattle overnight to get there in the morning to do a show in Seattle. And that was 3 shows. Okay, that's just 3 shows in 3 days. But our touring was so zigzaggy; it was everywhere. We crisscrossed over Ohio like 14 different freaking times. It was terrible. So I knew I was gonna be exhausted and burnt out by the end of this record cycle. That I was like, man, screw it, dude. Let's just like start working on this new thing right now and not wait. Let's get this record out.
You said, yeah. I just wanted to make a note, when you're in that mental space, right after you've flown over Ohio multiple times,
yeah,
and you got music on the mind, right? You got to do the music, play the music, entertain the masses, but the idea is you're thinking about the pin and the map, right? What conversations you've been having about music, what you have set up.
Yeah.
How are you able to, as an artist, how do you take that moment post the last trip over Ohio to ready yourself for what is the battle of like the mental anguish of writing music and recording it? Sometimes
you just kind of got to do it, man. I mean, like there's the thing about this level of the game is like there are people around you that are going to take care of everything else. You got your business managers, you got your personal managers, you got your agents, you got all these people, this whole team of hundreds, if not thousands of people working for you. And it's your job to just put your body where it needs to be and continue to direct these people as to how you're going to get your job done, especially when it comes to promises made, man. So I didn't even think about it, bro. I just put my body where it needed to be, no matter how tired I was or beat down I was. I said, you know what? Like, I'd come home and see my kids for a little bit, my wife for a little bit, and I'd just take off a week later. I'd be on tour for 3 months, come home for a couple of weeks, and go right into the studio, fly out to Nashville. And, we really caught up around the holiday time. It was like, 6 to 8 weeks off during the holiday, but it was really head down and just go, don't stop, and it definitely, it hit me hard, man. I mean, you feel like a heavyweight boxer after some of these shows, where you everything you got out there, and sometimes like in a heavyweight fight, you just, after some fight, you're just never the same person anymore. Things change and it takes a lot out of you. The same thing happened with me on this touring. I can't tell you what it's like to be exhausted and have to fly out to a different city and then have to sit down and put your brain in the place to want to put out songs that really resonate with people, So I'm thankful for cats like, Marty Ferguson and Scott Stevens for being there for me, as just not even just as best friends. Like they, I got to know those guys on such a personal level that I didn't feel alone. You know, I didn't feel like I was going through stuff on my own. I didn't feel like a bad person for the things that I've occurred in my life. You know, I felt like I had a community of people that really understood me and were going to allow me the space to continue to grow and learn from my experience while still trying to guide me towards something great. You know, so I really appreciate those guys.
That is a producer through and through, and they
Indeed.
are not just helping you mold the sound, but helping you mold yourself back into place and getting you into space, supporting you. You know, the mental anguish is what I think is the hardest, be the hardest part. You're exhausted physically. You got memories, but now those composition books, you got to pull them out and look through them. The energy to push through that, to remember, dude, it's kudos tough, to you, because 3 flights over Ohio in such a short period of time. Dude, first of all, fucking kill me.
We went over Ohio like 1 million times that year. It was crazy. Like, it was.
At least you didn't have to drive through it, I suppose.
We did. That's what I'm trying to say. We did have to drive through it. We did. There was one crazy ass trip we had, dude. We just played Blue Ridge Rock Festival, and our band was having some issues. We had Blue Ridge is in Virginia, and it's not in like cool Virginia. It's in like, oh, we're from Virginia. Yeah. So in our car, we kind of like, it's like, you know, I woke up because it was like hot all of a sudden because the car was off, you know, and I was like, what's going on? The van was off, and I get out, I open up, and like, you know, the guys are working on the trying to fix this light because one of the lights is out, and some random dude comes like, you guys are from around here, are you? And we're like, what? No. He was like, yeah, what are you doing out here, man? You should get out. You got to get out of here. You got to get out of here. We're like, okay, we'll get out. And he looks at the one white dude. I have 2 white dudes in my group. One of the white dudes, I have 2 white dudes, and I have, you know, my musicians are all, you know, 4 black musicians, including myself. And he looks at the white guy and goes, you got a knife? You don't have a knife? Take that with you. Take that with you. And I was like, thank you. I was like, hey, Patrick, and my guitar tech is not like he's not a physical dude. He's on a, you know, I'm from the streets. So I'm like, oh, Patrick, what you got there? A butterfly? No way, bro. Nice. Sweet.
Well, welcome to the Appalachians.
All right, man.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It was a time. It was a
crazy.
time, man. Yeah, it was crazy.
So,
it was a time, man. It was crazy.
if people read up about you and who you are, and the thing that really resonates with people is your live performance, man.
Yeah.
And I think the way people are kind of fatigued in technology and it's kind of like, you know, all the stuff that goes on to like modern live events. So to have someone just kind of feel like they're just plugging in and going.
Yeah.
It's such a revelation to people. Like, you can do that. I'm like, yeah, you just plug in and play.
Yeah.
Which is great because you're already leading into a younger audience because you're not, but you're seen as a newer artist, right?
Yeah, right,
so
right.
People are attaching themselves to that, and you're at all the festivals that cater to a certain age range, the Wimmer festivals or whatever it may be. But the way you play and the power you exude and the effort, the emotion you put in attracts that older live fan, or like, you know, whether it's the Bonamassa people or even the Trower people, or even people who were in the Cream going, I love this guy because he reminds me of those guys, right? So now you're generational.
Yeah, exactly.
And it all comes back down to your live thing. Was that a thing when you're like, man, did you kind of want to go out and be like raw, or is that just how your music just is going to be? You can't service it any other way. It's just a plug in and play kind of rock.
That is a Seattle thing, I think, man. I think that's, if you talk about Seattle rock, that's really the epitome of Seattle rock. Those guys are not, you know, I mean, I learned that from Barrett Martin, you know, from Screaming Trees, and having worked with, you know, the Duff McKagans and you know, McCready's, and having conversations with Kim Thile and all those guys. And like, you know, that's not, we don't come from a place where it's been about the digital thing necessarily, right? We all came from a garage rock place, and I think that's the legacy of Seattle rock, was how raw it was. It was just really real, you know. And we're still trying to shape it, you know, like I'm still like working on adding more elements to it, because I do want some of this music to sound similar to the record without sounding like the record, you know. So I've always talked about having like a utility dude that could play guitar and do little keyboards and some electronic stuff on the side, you know, and do without having to go to the direction of like just overdub tracks all the time, you know. I think another band that does that really great is Muse. Muse is really, really good at that, about having like, there are some stuff they have that's like a little overdubby, but it's so faint, you know. Shinedown's really good at this too, man. Like, but it's so faint, or it's like it's so integrated that that live raw sound really just comes out in the music.
Oh, it makes it sound super full.
Exactly. And so I definitely want to lean more into that, especially as I start to shape up like what it means to be a headliner and one of the big names at these festivals. Like it's been interesting the last couple of years to see my name go from like, maybe bottom or second row to like I'm at the third row from the top or whatever. And so as that happens, so I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. I want cats to come to the show and have a theater experience as well too, but without sacrificing what it is to make that makes me me, man. It's like I came up in the jam scene, I came up in the singer-songwriter scene. Everything I did was live, and I lived or died by the live sword, man. Either we were gonna have a great performance today, or I was too hungover to really show out. That's just what it is, man. And I don't think about this that way.
The large festivals, the way you play, I think people take notice because you're the kind of cat that will be playing, and you go into a solo, and you're going to use the catwalks that seem to go forever, those large thrusts, and you're going to go out there, and that's what. You're bringing it to the people, and that's what's exciting too. Is when you just got someone just kind of it's off the cuff.
Yeah.
Because we miss that because everything's so fucking orchestrated, man.
Everything's so orchestrated, man, and like we definitely, we'll definitely kind of find the sweet spot though too, man. It's like we're gonna keep it raw and real, and the sounds what they are, but we're gonna find a sweet spot where it's like all of these things are going to come together and create these really, really magical moments, and especially with this new music, Scott and Marty are really good in making sure that this music could be played live, like Blood in the Water is a tune I can grab a guitar and play right now, but whereas like a song like Filthy, for instance, is a little more digital, it's got a little more modern sounds to it. We can still pull it off live, but there's some elements that we need to capture that we can produce live, but we have to like kind of work in this new way of things,
Do you use ears live?
No, that's why I'm deaf. That's why I'm deaf right now. I don't use shit, man. No, I don't. We use monitors. We just use regular monitors, but that's kind of something we're leaning towards, kind of getting into the in-ear zone. And we've tried it. We all were just like, this is gross. It doesn't feel good in our ears,
It's weird at first. It's so weird at first.
It's really weird, man. But we're definitely. I mean, that's kind of the future for us, though. I mean, as we want to be bigger. I want to make my band bigger, my presence bigger. I want to make the stage bigger. I want to have a bigger production. I want to be able to create an arena rock experience. So as we're growing, we're definitely thinking about adding these new elements. It'll just be a matter of figuring out what our production looks like, the budget for all that, and all the logistics behind all that stuff to make it happen.
I was just listening to you.
Lasers.
Yeah, dog, lasers for sure. Like I went to the Muse show. I've never seen Muse live. I love Muse, by the way, but I never saw him live. And I saw him like, at the former Key Arena. They call it the Climate Pledge Arena, and I was like, "What the hell is going on here? This is crazy." I actually had just ran into Johnny backstage. Johnny from Highly Suspect, and I was like, "Yo, Johnny, what's up, man?" I was like, "I want to get a beer with you, bro, and hang." He goes, "Nah, man, you gotta stay for this show." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna get beer." He goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna get a beer across the street, but listen, you got to see these guys." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I just had to go for 1 or 2, but I would be like, "Oh shit, I want to stay for one more." And he'd be like, "What is going on? This is insane." There was lasers, there was smoke, there was fire. There was like at one point they were playing a solo and it was dark, and the ceiling started coming down on them, like it started floating down. I was like, "This is just like Hawkinson in Vegas. I can't believe it." It was insane, dude. I was having the time of life at this show, and but the thing that spoke to me more than anything was how the musicianship didn't falter. Like sometimes when you try to get that big, the musicianship takes a little bit of a backseat so that you can put on a theater show, and everything kind of was intertwined. And that was really inspirational to me, man. So definitely having some motherfucking lasers, dog.
Yeah, you gotta have lasers. I was thinking about all of what you are and where you come from and how difficult that would be, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, simply just from the fact of like those monitors, dude. Yep. They're also like a part of like what you feel like is the front of house.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll save your life. Because your vocal manifolds, for instance, is just gonna like you say thank you so much. You didn't, when you thought you were had to push, that sort of thing. You might not have to.
That's a big thing too, man. And this is why my sound is the way it is too. Is my whole life I've used monitors. So ulting has just been my thing. But like, you get to start doing 200 shows in a year and a half, and it just doesn't hold as much. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really hard to do 3 shows even in a week to back and maintain that. So we've definitely had to make some adjustments, and we're continuing to do that. But until then, cool. It's still gonna be raw and real, man. I'm gonna make sure these cats really get a dose of what really makes me me.
So then to be completely transparent here. Are you saying that those massive Rolling Stone shows, it was 60,000 people, you were wedges?
We were wedges. Yeah.
You're fucking badass.
We were wedges, man. Yeah, we were wedges. We were wedges for sure, man. We were wedges.
It was fucking insane.
It was
It's so
insane.
cool.
Did you have any interactions with this with the Jagger or Richards, any of those guys, Ron Wood?
So I had a satellite interaction with Keith, and I had a face-to-face interaction with Mick when I first met him. And that first show in Detroit was when I ran into Mick because we were supposed to go out do our sound checks. He was coming down as I'm going up, and he hadn't caught COVID yet, so he was still more, open to seeing people. And he walks past me, he stops, and he comes back and he goes, "Hello." I'm like, "Oh!" I'm like, "Yo, what's up, man? Yeah, man, good to see you, baby. It's good, man. This is a cool, right, man? It's good, it's good."
Is that exactly how you said that?
I was just trying to be cool, man. And he was like, I was like, "You're the man. Thanks for having us." And he says, "No, you're the man." I was like, "I'm the man." I can't believe you just said that. And so it was a trip, man. Yeah, I got to hang out with Mick Jagger in Detroit. My kids came and my wife came and everything, and it was like a whole event, And so we had that was the first time at Mick. And then Keith actually was the one that requested us to be at in Paris, because I was already getting big in Paris, but Keith was personally like, "We need Ayron Jones in Paris," so that's why they called me. First time we bid for it. The second time they were like, "This is the kid we want," And so there was a lot of interaction. I don't doubt it's the last time it'll happen. I mean, we'll see. Those guys getting up there. I have a feeling that at some point down the road they'll call us again as our name starts to pop up a little more.
That's so sick.
Yeah, I only asked that because I was reading this about his interview Lars had. I think he may have had with Howard Stern, basically says when Metallica played a show with them.
Yeah.
Years ago, and they said that one of the things that these Jagger's assistant said to the band was like, "When Mick walks by, please do not give eye contact."
Yeah, they did that. Listen, bro, I don't know what it is, man. Listen, we all know Mick some brown sugar, baby. That's what it is.
Sure. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that certainly helps. You put it to your advantage.
Yes. Oh, dude, listen, man. He likes some brown sugar, baby. There's a thing.
That's awesome.
This is also the other thing is that Mick and those guys, like, you got to remember, man, they were on Chess Records, right? So like, in a time when Chess Records was a predominantly black record label, they were inspired by all these black artists. So, there's something about that connection they have with African Americans. I think that really, we could feel that. We could feel it because we felt the openness and we felt love. I mean, more than anything, we felt all the love with those guys, man. And they had fried chicken and Southern food at the catering too, so that was helpful.
Yeah.
I was
Plus
like,
Plus they kind of used to, they used to dress like Tina Turner.
Yeah, right. There you go, man. So
back in the day,
yeah,
that '72 tour, my goodness,
man. I'll tell you, that catering though, woo, get them.
Was it great? Was it awesome?
It was. Listen, the Detroit catering was great. The French catering was great too, but it was French. The French are very they're really into their food, man. They really are. They really are into their food. We have a different palate than them. Let's put it that way. And so our expectations, I think, are a little bit different when it comes to the food. But the food's good though, man. They have great food. They're really nice to me too. I can't say too much bad things about the French.
What's your favorite after show food?
Yeah.
My favorite after show food, man. That's a good question. I have a before show food. I don't have much for after show food. I had a lot of pho on the road, man. I'm from Seattle, so in Seattle, pho is a staple here because it rains so much, Yeah. And we actually have that in common with a lot of Europe. A lot of especially like northwestern Europe. It's like that's a lot of rainy days. So pho is easy to come by. It's really helpful for my voice and warm my voice up and all that too. So I think pho is the way to go. Post show food is beer. It's delicious.
All right. Yeah. So wheat and barley. Okay.
Exactly. Wheat and barley. It's Mesopotamian food.
Yeah, that's right. Well, look, man. Hey,
interesting. Well, hold on 1 second, please. I just found this out, and I really hope that I wasn't lied to. Ultimate Frisbee. Are you an Ultimate Frisbee guy?
I played Ultimate Frisbee in another lifetime. I was when I was a kid. I got really into it in my teenage years in the early 20s. I got really, really good at it. I was really athletic, so I was really good at it. And I ended up playing for Team USA in the 2004 World Championships and the 2008 World Championships.
Dude, that's fucking insane.
It's crazy.
I don't know if it was Michael or somebody mentioned it, and I said, "Wait, like for real?"
Yeah, for real, man.
Yeah, that's so cool.
What's funny, man, is with emo coming back right now. Emo rock is really like pretty hot right now. I
Sure.
also saw Evanescence at that tour. I'll get that in a minute, but on that Muse show. But but yeah, the emo rock is getting big right now, and I'll never forget. Me and my buddy who played, my other buddy who I saw recently, he played for Seattle's named Sam, and he played for Seattle as well. Or he's from Seattle. He played for the U.S. team as well. So because we're all from different cities, and I never forget, we were all sitting watching TV, and one of our old teammates comes on. We're like, what the hell is this dude doing on TV? And he's doing the sign up. He's doing this. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And he's like, 303. so it was so I played on Team USA in 2004 with Sean Foreman from 303. He was on that same Ultimate Frisbee team. So me and him are Frisbee champions together.
That's insane. The tall dude, right?
Sean is the shorter dude. Yeah.
Okay.
The pretty one.
That's so crazy. That's even great. That's like another level of like.
Yeah, dude. So we were on the same frisbee team. Yeah.
Is hacky sack still a thing? Do people still play hacky sack?
I'm sure they do, man. I'm sure people really get into hacky sack. As long as weed is a thing, hacky sack will always be a thing. I just don't. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's because there's always all sorts of championship for weird stuff, dude. I saw what did I recently see that was really strange, dude?
Pickleball,
spike ball, bro. Pickleball's weird too, but I saw the world champion spike ball on ESPN the Ocho.
Spike ball is it like dodgeball or something? What is that?
No, a spike ball is when you go to the beach and you see those dudes with it's like a little tiny yellow rubber volleyball, and you slam it down on this trampoline, and it's kind of like you're supposed to play it like almost like volleyball. You get tap up, 2 taps up, and then on the third tap you gotta launch it at the pad towards your opponent, and they have to catch it and tap it up, and basically if the ball hits the ground, and then your team gets a point. So it's a trampoline and everyone stands in a circle, and so you're trying to put this ball up and pass to your teammate and then spike it on this trampoline, and it goes. Exactly. What is spike ball? Why is it on television? That's my point.
Well, yeah. Hey, why is poker on TV? Why is all these weird sports on? Why is darts on TV? Is that a sport?
The mob.
I thought it was a hobby. I thought it was a pursuit. I thought it was just a pursuit.
Fucking right.
Yeah.
Why is the sky blue?
Speaking of mob, we were lucky to have you on Shiprock thus far.
Yeah, man.
Twice.
Yeah, dude. It's been amazing.
This second time, man, that second deck show on this last run.
Yeah.
That was the one where I looked around. I thought a lot of people who are new to you, kind of with their jaws like,
oh yeah,
what the fuck?
That was quite bad, man. Because what happened? If you guys want to know me, I'll tell you the truth. What happened was I was just partying so much, man. I was having so much. You gotta understand. I've got 3 kids at home. I got a wife at home, and so it's like I have 2 kids full time, and I have a third who comes over. And at times, I have 4 kids, and 2 of them live off. They don't live with me full time, and then the other 2 live with me full time. So I have a full house all the time. And my wife didn't come this time, so I'm just like free. I'm just like, oh my god. So I'm partying. One night, I had so much whiskey, I was about to go back to my room, man. They're like, I'm going back to my cabin, dude. I gotta get out of here. The guy was like, nah, man, you gotta take this one last shot with me. I said, all right, then. I'll do it, because that's the kind of dude I am. And it wasn't like a shit.
Twist my arm.
It was like this big, and I pound that dude. I get back to my room, and I'm just like, bleh. Oh, but got by whiskey. Thank you. I wasn't hungover, luckily, but it shredded my voice, which was already in a rough place, man. And so I felt bad. I felt bad, but not because it's everybody else's fault. I partied because they forced me to drink liquor and party with them.
Well, dude, you know what? So you mentioned that now. I don't remember anything about your voice on that second, because I remember Joey and Carmen coming up, and you guys just wailed.
Dude, my voice was completely shot out, man. And I remember, and it wasn't shot out in the way that it usually my voice shoots out because I'm hoarse. It wasn't because I was hoarse. It was just like inflammation around my throat, from just like from hurling the night before, 2 nights before, and I had 3 shows on the boat, right? So I had the show at the theater, and then I had a show for the crew, and then I had a show. I was supposed to do the show with the shipmates. I had to cancel because my voice was all shot out, man. Yeah. And so I had that one deck show, and I couldn't really get. I could hack it, I could definitely put something out there, but it wasn't up to the par, but I look back at that show, I was like, man, it still sounded really cool. My voice had a really smoky quality to it that it normally didn't have, and we got through it, and it was great. I mean, you remember my guitar player was sick too, man, so I'm really holding it down vocally, doing my own backup vocals and all that.
That's right, but you know what, you guys had a shit ton of haze going across that stage all the time, and it looked awesome. It just looked awesome, man.
It was a cool show, man. We had a good time, and I was actually, it turns, even though I was kind of feeling I felt like I was limping a little bit, in terms of my performance, it turned out being one of my better performances I think I've ever had, to be honest with you, just because of the moment calling for me to be something different and like adjust. And like I think that's what speaks to the experience after a certain time, is when you've been through enough of those to know, like, all right, dude, you're not gonna get out here and have your Tina Turner moment. You're not gonna have your Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey moment right now. You're gonna get out here, you're gonna play guitar, give it to them raw and real, and forgive yourself later for it. And one thing I practiced recently, especially you play so many shows, is when you mess up, you know, it's like this happened to me at Carnegie. I'm sorry, not Carnegie, but Royal Albert Hall. Man, I started with the wrong song, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, I messed the song up, and I stop and I go, my bad. I was gonna play this one song, you guys, and I'm gonna play a different song. Okay, we go. But I just get to this mode where you're just like, you're so natural in your moment that you're just talking to people what's up. So I get up there, I say, hey guys, listen, we've been partying. I partied my ass off today, so my voice is not up to par. But listen, you guys, I'm up here. I couldn't cancel this show. I'm here for you. We're just gonna play some fucking rock and roll. I hope you guys enjoy it, man. And that
people love that,
moment,
man.
They turned that
real.
moment into what it was, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Because I tell you, that last song, man, it was like a guitar orgy. It was awesome.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was great, man. With Joey. Joey's my buddy, man. It's my buddy, and Carmen too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so glad you did cancel the performance for Rooster, but this show, like we just mentioned, it was all that and a bag of chips, if you will.
Hey, take it to the 90s.
It felt great, sounded great, and more, just like you said,
man.
Giving it to them straight and raw and real, and with some truth. I think that's what they're there to see anyway.
Those are the guys I'm influenced by the most too, man. The guys that are just so real on stage, man. And like that's the thing. Also, Tour and Shinedown too. I'm gonna speak wonders about these guys. That's where I spent most of my time last year, you know. And you know, those guys are so just like watching them do their thing. There's never a scripted moment. You know, I'm trying to say, like, there's a routine for sure, but it doesn't feel like it's contrived. It doesn't feel like they're trying too hard to make it happen. They just naturally sit there and do their thing. And I remember one night they couldn't do. I think we were in BC, and they couldn't do the fireworks because the Penticton Fire Department was like, hell no, you're not doing fireworks here. And he was like, well, fuck the Penticton Fire Department. We'll probably never play here again. Last time, guys. You know, like, we had fire shit for you guys. We're sorry, man. But listen, in lieu of that, we got this acoustic thing we're going to do for you, you know. And I was like, you guys are awesome for that, man. But that's like all that experience just kind of culminates into one thing. And it just creates these moments, I think, that you can't really ask for in music anymore, you know?
Yeah. Hey,
we can't fake them, you know.
Yeah,
know.
No.
Right.
So, Ayron, let's play a little walk the plank, bud.
Okay. Shit.
We've done this with you before, right? We've done this with you before.
I have. Yeah, I think I failed miserably last time.
Okay.
This stuff.
Okay.
I don't think you can fail. My question is, what villain do you secretly cheer for?
Oh, the villain I secretly cheer for, Franklin Saint in Snowfall. Is the villain I secretly cheer for right now because I've been watching that show religiously, and I finally got through it. And I'm like, you're a gangster, and I love you for it. Franklin Saint is a villain I cheer for. I might be able to name one more. Let me think here. Another villain I secretly cheer for. Agent Smith in The Matrix. Yeah.
Oh shit,
that's a good one too, man.
Great. Yeah, both great.
I love that guy.
Yeah. My question is, what is your spirit animal?
My spirit animal? Ooh, it's a good question, man. My spirit animal is Dennis Rodman.
So a worm. Okay.
The worm. A worm, sir. How dare you? Yeah. The worm. He's the worm.
Wedding dress or pre or post wedding dress? That's the one I'm asking.
What are you talking about? Whatever the Carmen Lecture era was. Post, I think, right?
Post. That's right. Carmen there.
Yeah, do you know who Black Bear is? The producer rapper dude, Mike Posner.
Oh yeah, I know about.
They have this like duo thing called Mansions, is with the Z. You should listen to their song Dennis Rodman. It is you know what I'm talking about?
I haven't heard it. I can't wait.
If that's your spirit animal, they do a very good job at like
that's amazing.
They made an anthem for that spirit animal, dude. It fucking slaps.
I love it. I'm gonna have to check it out, man.
Yeah. I got one.
Is Dennis still in North Korea? Is he back now?
He's back. I think he's back. I think the North Korean thing kind of blew up in his face a little bit. And in his defense, in his defense, he was high.
Yeah.
You know, so there you go.
Awesome.
You know,
like spirit animal material.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You talking about spirit animal?
That's national treasure, man. He's a national treasure.
Yeah, he really is. To me, he is a man. That's why I named my kid Phoenix Jones, right? Because Phoenix Jones is kind of a fuck up. So Phoenix Jones is he had a superhero coalition in Seattle 2013 to like, I don't know, like it had to be like 17 or 18, right? And so my kid is born in 2013, and my wife at the time, my ex-wife, she says, "What are we gonna name our kid?" I said, "We should name her Phoenix." And she goes, "Oh, I like that name a lot. Why?" I was like, "Cause Phoenix Jones is like a superhero. He's not gonna be a thing in a number of years. When she goes and looks her name up at some point, she'll find out that she has this tie to her hometown forever." And so I thought it was the coolest thing ever until he got busted for secretly selling Molly. and then he got busted by the cop feds. So he's supposed to be like this superhero cleaning up the streets, and he's selling Molly on the side. So I'm like, man, that's even cooler.
Yeah,
exactly, man.
That's so cool. We got one more question, and this is fun because I don't know if we had implemented this in the last time. So I'm gonna ask you a question from last week's guest that asked it to this week's guest who didn't know who this week's guest was. You'll get to do the same thing. The question is a two-parter simply because it was a two guests last week. So I'll start with the first one. The question is Through the Loom or Speedo?
Speedo, probably.
Yes.
I want
the second part. Do it. That's good on you, man. The second part is, would you rather live by the ocean or the woods?
Live by the ocean is my thing. I like water. I grew up near water, so I'm in the Puget Sound, which is like all water. So I think water is my first thing for sure. Then the woods. The woods are cool too, but like I don't really fuck with bears. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really do that.
That's funny. That's what we were talking about. So Speedo in the living by the water is totally acceptable. In the woods, you probably get a little bit of a mosquito bumps or something like that, right?
Really mess with the woods because animals live there. I don't understand this. Do you understand? Listen. I want you guys.
I'm gonna clue you into something.
Yeah,
there are animals in the water too.
I don't go in the water like that, dog. I can find this. Come on, man. I'll be there, ankle deep in the water. Hey, man, I like this. This is good. This is nice.
All right.
I'll tell you guys something though, man. But I'll tell you guys this. How many times have you guys seen a black person be like, "Yo, I got attacked by a cougar, man. It was wild." Look out! There's cougars in the woods, man. Haven't. You've not seen one single black person. Not one time. Oh my God, a bear! Yeah, there's bears in the woods, man. You'll go out to.
I guarantee you, someone in Tanzania has said this.
I'm sure in Tanzania they eat them though. Got you, bitch. Not America.
Right. So now it's your turn. So so that was from their Randa boys, Gabe and Damien. They were on last week. They didn't know who was going to be on this week, so they just asked the question. So I'm not going to tell you who's on next week. You just asked it.
Okay. Yeah. My next question. Let's see here. Uppers or downers? That's a great question. And
uppers or downers.
That's a good one, right? That's nice.
Yeah.
And let me see here. It's got to be like a musical thing. Ooh. Drop C sharp or standard?
Oh, dude, that's good. Okay. All right. So uppers or downers, 1. Part 2, drop C sharp or standard. Can I assume that we could also ask which one would you rather do if they say uppers and they say drop C?
Yeah.
Can I ask them if they would do uppers and write music and drop
and
C?
Right, of course. That's the whole point of the question. That's why we phrase it that way.
Sweet.
So we have to find a really good guitar player who's into pharmaceuticals. Very good. Easy.
At least.
Easy, keep easy.
At least pharmaceuticals. Let's be real.
Those are great.
That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Well, Ayron, man, brother, we've had you for an hour, man. We couldn't thank you enough for doing this again with us, man. We appreciate it. And best of luck on this new album, man. Coming out, it's going to be Chronicles of the Kid. Do you know when it's coming out? Can we have an exact date on that?
June 21st, I believe.
Okay.
All right. Label always has me drop an album around Juneteenth, and I was like, thanks. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Juneteenth.
Latest single,
Give us free.
Blood in the Water is everywhere right now, and it's on all kinds of playlists, including Spotify. So that's awesome, man. Good for you. We're looking forward to it. What about live dates? What's going on? We know the festivals are coming up. You got a tour slated?
I got one in Europe coming out, and then we got something we're working on later on this year, and it's going to be a pretty interesting one. Actually, it's going to be pretty unique because I've been doing one of these. But I can't announce it just yet. We're still getting kind of the knots all tied up, and as soon as we do, we'll let everybody know. But we're getting closer to it. So, but yeah, I got some extensive touring happening in Europe. I got some U.S. touring I'm working on towards the end of this year. And I think we really start hitting hard the beginning of next year because this album is coming out in June. I think we're really gonna start hitting it in the beginning of next year, and you know, putting out some good music, playing some good stuff, and you know, with this new record, I believe that it's really gonna, you know, my name has already been tossed into the mainstream quite a bit, but I think this is the one that really gets people's attention, you know. So I'm really excited for that.
No doubt, man.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, thank you
Yeah,
once again for your time.
Always,
Really
fellas. I appreciate you, man. You can have me on anytime, and I'll be down to chat and goof off with you guys anytime, man.
We'll do it again then.
Yeah.
All right.
Sign and
Thanks,
seal.
sir.
Good, man.
All
Talk
right,
soon.
have a good one.
Take care, you guys.
Be safe, everybody.
Thanks, Jen.